بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Before starting, I want to announce for any of you who may not know that our brother Naeem Nasrullah from Holland passed away, and his funeral was a few days ago. Brother Naeem's quality was that wherever there was a convention in Europe, he would always attend. It didn't matter how unwell or whatever he was. The last time I met him was in Berlin for the centenary celebrations of the mosque there, and he was clearly unwell. He was in a wheelchair, and the wheelchair was being pushed by his family and so on. And he still came. And he had a part in helping Guyana Jamaat as well. Anyway, so after the Juma praise, we'll say his funeral praise, Janaza by Bana. With that, I turn to the Holy Quran, and I want to recite chapter 33 which is Al-Ahzab, the allies, and verse 5. ادعوهم لآبائهم هو أقسط عند الله وإن لم تعلموا آباءهم فإخوانكم في الدين ومواليكم وليس عليكم جناح فيما أخطأتم به ولكن ما تعمدت قلوبكم وكان الله غفورا رحيم. Call them by the names of their fathers. This is more equitable with Allah. But if you know not their fathers, then they are your brethren in faith and your friends. There is no blame on you in that wherein you make a mistake, but you're answerable for that which your hearts propose, your hearts intend. And Allah is ever forgiving and ever merciful. The other, if I can find it, is chapter 6, verse 142. وَهُوَ الَّذِي أنشأ جنات معروشات وغير معروشات والنخل والزرع مختلفا أكله والزيتون والرمان متشابها وغير متشابه من ثمره إذا أثمر وآتوا حقه يوم حصاده ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. And he it is who produces gardens, realized and unrealized, and palms and seed produce of which the fruits are of various sorts, and olives and pomegranates like and unlike. Eat of its fruits when it bears fruit, and pay the due of it on the day of its reaping. But be not a waster, be not extravagant. Surely Allah does not love the extravagant. And there is a couple of ahadith saying of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Verily, Allah has recorded good and bad deeds, and Allah made them clear. Whoever intends to perform a good deed but does not do it, then Allah will record it as a complete good deed. If they intend to do it and do it, then Allah, the Exalted, will record it as 10 good deeds, up to 700 times as much or even more. If they intend to do a bad deed and does not do it, then Allah will record for them one complete good deed. If they do it, if they do the bad deed, then Allah will record for them one bad deed. This is recorded both in Bukhari and in Muslim. And the other hadith I want to recite, the most beloved of deeds to Allah are those that are most consistent, even if they are small. We are coming to the end of the year, and I've given this khutbah the title New Year's Resolutions. Now, the measurement of a year or a length or weight or whatever, these are things that were set by humans. People wanted to know what the distance was between London and Manchester and how fast a horse traveled and so on. So they needed some measurements. In America, I came across a board which gave the distance as the Red Indians used to measure it. It said from here to the nearest town, the distance is 10 sleeps. What does that mean? That meant that you had to spend 10 nights before you got to the other, to the place, the town, the nearest town. But of course, it depends on your horses or means of communication and so on. Obviously, in a car, it wasn't going to take 10 nights, etc. Another example is measure of distance, which is a yard. That was the distance between the king's forefinger and the forefinger and his nose. The point is that originally these were not very scientific terms. People just picked something that was convenient or to please someone, like the yard. But then science developed, and a more precise and definite measure was needed. And then we came across the measures that we have today. Originally, different countries had different measures. But gradually, as science developed and so on, and scientists in different countries needed to communicate with each other, they decided to standardize this thing. Time is, in a way, slightly different in that people picked some important event in their history and they said, okay, that would be day zero. Christians said birth of Jesus. Jesus wasn't actually born on 25th of December, but that's a different discussion. But that didn't mean that time didn't exist before 25th of December. Or Earth didn't exist before 25th of December. It was just that they called it zero. You can nominate anything and call it zero and say we'll measure time from there or distance from that point. Muslims picked the date of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's migration from Makkah to Medina, because that was what led to spread of Islam, etc., etc. And the only significance in creating these calendars and etc. was to find out when something happened or when something is going to happen. Originally, for example, Muslims didn't have the concept of year. And Hazrat Umar wrote a letter to one of his governors in which he gave a date, do this by this date and so on. And he wrote back and he said, it's not clear to me. That day and that month that has already gone, or that day and that month which is going to come. When am I supposed to do this? And Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala then realized that he needed to be more precise. So he called the council and they said that, well, okay, we'll pick the date of the Holy Prophet's migration. And what happens is that although these things are arbitrary, New Year has taken on a great significance, particularly in the West. And one thing people do is to make New Year's resolutions. Some Muslim scholars object to it. They think it's something to do with Christianity. It doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. But the main problem with New Year's resolutions is that after a week, or let's say a month, people who made these resolutions forget them. And they go back to their old habits. This is why I recited to you the Holy Prophet Muhammad's hadiths. The most beloved of deeds for Allah are those that are consistent. Take the example of smoking. If you say, okay, I'm going to cut down on smoking, someone might say, I'm going to give it up, which is a big claim. Someone else might say, I'm going to cut down. So he cuts down from 10 to 8. And that lasts about 2 weeks. And he goes back to 10 again. He's wasted his effort. But anyway, the interesting thing is that making resolutions is a part of every Muslim's daily life. You don't have to wait until the 31st of December to make resolutions to improve your life. Every time, every salat is a time to make a resolution. Starting with wudu. When you wash yourself, you purify and clean yourself physically. And what are you doing? You are making preparation for spiritual cleanliness. And what you're doing is, when you say Ehdina Siratul Mustaqim, you're saying, I want to become a better person than I was before I started this prayer. Show me how I can do that. So with every prayer, in every prayer, you make a resolution to be a better human being than you were when you prayed the last time. And your prayer is also a chance for you to check whether you're keeping to your resolutions. This is why you have to pray 5 times a day. 5 times a day you check whether you're keeping to your resolution or not. The problem with New Year's resolutions is you make it and you never check it. Maybe the following year, 365 or 366 days later, you ask yourself, did I keep to my resolution to give up smoking or reduce smoking? Oh no. I did for 2 weeks and then I went back. But a year's gone by. In Islam, you do it frequently. 5 times every day, so that you keep reminding yourself, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. Not only that, but you also keep checking, have I done it, have I done it? Because that's the only way to keep on track. And then Ramadan is again a time for you to reflect upon your resolution to become a better person, a better human being, a better Muslim. And you check, was I a better person the previous year compared to the year before? These are my weaknesses. And next year, I'm going to try and overcome them. Look at the verse and verses and ahadith I told you. And they say, there is no blame on you in that about which you make a mistake, but you are answerable for what your hearts intend. So if you make a mistake because of human frailty, weakness of your memory, or whatever, you will not be held accountable. But if you set out and deliberately make a mistake, then you will be held accountable. Allah is forgiving and merciful. He allows for human frailty and human weakness. But you need to think about the next verse as well. The next verse says, do not be extravagant. Surely Allah does not love the extravagant people. Just think about what is the cause of global warming, because that verse starts. And he it is who produces gardens, etc., and palms, and seed produce of which fruits are of various sorts, and olives and pomegranates, etc., etc. Do not be extravagant. Surely Allah does not love the extravagant. Allah is warning humanity that if they are extravagant, then they'll destroy this earth and humanity will come to an end. I mean, do you remember? Maybe you don't. The American cars in 1950s that used to do 5 miles to the gallon. They were huge cars, monstrosities, I would say. Now, if you want to get from A to B, and you want to do it quickly, why do you need such a huge car? Because you want to show off. Your intention is bad. And you're being extravagant. And we're seeing the results of that extravagance in the form of global warming, changes in weather patterns, and whatever else. And how many conferences have there been of heads of state and heads of government and this one and that one, at which these people have got together and they have made resolutions. We're going to cut down this by this date and that by that date and so on and so forth. Have any of these targets been met? No. Because those intentions are not sincere. They are what is called soundbite. They sound good on television. They sound good as newspaper headlines. And that is, God says, that Allah forgives. There's no blame on you if you do something wrong by mistake. But you will be answerable for what your heart's intended. So when you made that announcement that Britain or France or America or Canada or whoever is going to reduce global warming or pumping of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide into air by so many %, what was your intention? Did you genuinely believe that? Did you genuinely intend that? Or was it simply to look better than the Prime Minister of another country standing next to you? I regret to say that it's simply a show. That humanity will be destroyed. You might get a soundbite. Humanity overall will be destroyed by these things. And the Hadith then tells us that just the intention of doing something good is recorded as a good deed. That in itself is a good deed. And if you do it, the reward can be up to 700 times, as you've done 700 good deeds. But a bad deed, when we intend to do it, is not recorded. And it's only recorded as a bad deed once you do it. What is the reason for that? And that is that if you actually carry out your intention, which is very hard, it's very hard to give up on the things we become used to. But if we give those up, the benefit to us is 700 times reward. The benefit to us would be hundreds of times. Global warming is causing floods. Look at England, look at Spain, look at other countries. Would the reward of reducing global warming be 700 times? There'll be no floods, bridges will not be washed away, people's businesses will not be destroyed, people's houses will not be destroyed, the cars will not be washed away. But it's not enough to leave it to the end of the year before you make good resolutions or you check on whether you kept to them or not. This is why Allah asks Muslims to do it over and over again every day, 5 times a day, in addition to once a year. So make New Year's resolutions, but make them small, something you can actually do. And do it constantly and consistently. This is wherein the benefit lies. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikun barruf. We are ending our broadcast on Instagram now before going to prayers. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. अल्लाहु अकबर अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदर रसूलुल्लाह इला सलाह इला फलाह कद कामतिस सलाह अल्लाहु अकबर ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तकीम सिरातल लज़ीना अनअमता अलैहिम गैरिल मग़दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दॉल्लीन आमीन। قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد أنا عابد ما عبدتم لا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين। अल्लाहु अकबर। समी अल्लाहु लिमन हमिदा रब्बना। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्लाहु अकबर। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Astaghfirullah. Maibana namaz-e janaza for our brother Nisrullah. There are 4 takbeers. After the first takbeer, we start as we do in normal prayer. After the second takbeer, we recite the durood. And after the third takbeer, we say the janaza prayer either in Arabic or in your own language. You can pray for the deceased and even your own elders who have passed away. Then after the 4th takbeer, the janaza prayer comes to an end. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for joining us for today's Friday service. We will next meet next year, which is 2025. And I request you all that as I did in the message this morning, to pray to Allah to give humanity sense so that human beings stop destroying each other and this planet. If you destroy this planet, we don't have anywhere to go. So, and remember, these borders are simply lines drawn in dirt. They have no more importance than that. So stop killing each other and fighting each other to move the border north or south or east or west or whatever. Until we meet again, may Allah keep everyone safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.